Welcome back, America. Our next guest has his finger on the pulse of American politics all the time, and he has the best sense of whether there's going to be a red wave or will Democrats put up a surprising challenge on next Tuesday on Election Day. Joining us now, the former deputy campaign manager for President Trump's campaign and president of Citizens United, and my good friend, Dave Bossie. Dave, great to have you back on the show.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, you're reading the polls here. More importantly, you're out in the real world talking to people, campaigning hard. Tell us what you think is going to happen over these last 7 days and what the election probably looks like the morning after.
Well, unfortunately, we've moved away as a country from election day. We now really have election month or months. It's kind of ridiculous, actually. But I hope that with the enthusiasm that is going on in America right now, that Republicans are going to win and win big next Tuesday, and we're gonna not only win the House, but I believe we're going to win the majority in the United States Senate as well. And that just ends the Biden socialist agenda in Congress. Obviously we can't stop him from doing radical things as executive orders. But investigations, checks and balances, transparency, I think those will all be back in the forefront, to make sure that we're overseeing the Biden administration's last 2 years as we usher him out.
Yeah, we had a guest on last week who projected that the Senate would be won by Republicans. I think he said 52-48. So, but you touched on the fact that it's no longer election day. It's election days and sometimes weeks, depending on the state that you are in, which obviously opens up a greater chance for fraud. I wanted to ask you, though, on House Admin Committee, the ranking Republican, Congressman Rodney Davis, he and a group of Republicans are deploying folks, a couple dozen people, to some of these key races where things are going to get tight and there might be opportunities for shenanigans. They're going to be sending out letters to state and local representatives, alerting them to this fact. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is going to make a big difference?
Yeah, Rodney Davis is an incredible leader, and I'm glad to see him doing this. He has made a difference in that job there, and I got to tell you, I'm going to be sorry to see him leave Congress. But it is going to make a difference, because when you're in the room, when Republicans are in the room, it's harder for them to steal. It's harder for them to cheat. We want every vote to count, but we want it to be harder for them to cheat. And what Rodney has been doing, look, Rodney, this is the same guy who sent a preservation order to the January 6th committee members and the staff, saying when the Republicans are in the majority, we're going to be looking at you and how you eroded our democracy, how the January 6th committee really has done damage to our democracy. And I think that I'm looking forward to when we do get back in charge, to putting that committee under the microscope.
Yeah, he really has shown courage and taken a lot of preemptive actions. One of the things that's really interesting, Dave, we mentioned this at the top of the show, that committee has found evidence that the Labor Department, the Ag Department, the Education Department are targeting federal tax dollars in federal voter registration efforts at vulnerable Americans who are dependent on the government, people who are getting food stamps, people coming for job training, people on Native American reservations, young voters. By the way, a lot of them also tend to be Democrat voters. Your thoughts about the federal government getting involved in voter registration? I don't find any laws that tell them they should be running voter registration campaigns. What's the Biden administration up to here?
Well, clearly they're trying to use, their powers to dangle that carrot out in front of these different elements. Look, they play divisive, politics. They're the best at it, right? Class warfare. It's quite disgusting, to be honest with you, but that's all they know. And so using their power, using their positions to try to enhance voter registration doesn't surprise me. We have to make sure we put a stop to it once we're in the majority, because Republicans will now control the budgets for those organizations. And I think we're going to have, our House leadership, Senate leadership is going to have to make sure that they're on top of that to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Great point.
Yeah. Dave, there are some very close Senate races coming up, Arizona, Nevada, but some of these states where election fraud is an issue or election integrity is an issue. One of those states is Pennsylvania with Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman and Dr. Mehmet Oz. What do you think is going to happen in that race, and do you think it's going to be clean?
Well, let me start with the race itself. I believe Oz is going to win and win fairly decisively. There was a garbage New York Times poll that came out today, and I mean garbage. They took a 600 person sample over 3 days. 2 of the 3 days were before the debate. How irresponsible for the New York Times to put this out there and pretend that it has any credibility. Nobody has been talking about that. It is outrageous that they did it. To me, that poll is discounted. It shows Fetterman winning, when in every poll over the last since the debate has shown Oz winning. This is an outlier. What this is election interference. This is what election interference looks like from the mainstream media. They're trying to suppress Republican votes. That's what they're doing. That's what they try to do. They've done it many times before. They have polls out. New York Times has polls out in Nevada, in Georgia, Arizona, and in Pennsylvania. All of them just fraught with peril for them because none of them have credibility. Not one of them is an accurate poll, in my opinion. And we can go through them if you want.
Yeah, just amazing. We got about 25 seconds left. Michigan governor's race, that could be a bellwether. If Tudor Dixon wins, it's the shot heard across America. What's your prediction there?
So let me give you 2. We have 2 polls. We have 2 polls out today. Kellyanne Conway did one in Michigan where Tudor Dixon is down 6 points, closing the gap. And I believe she pulls it out on election day. It is going to be very tough. It's a very tough state. New York State, we have a poll out with Governor Hochul at 46, Lee Zeldin at 45. It is a poll that is being talked about. It just came out an hour or 2 ago, and It is going to upset this race. And Lee Zeldin is going to be the next governor of New York.
We're going to be watching both of those, Dave. You got your finger on the pulse.